Okay, alright, we are back again for some Cursed Site. We're gonna continue where we left off here. Alright, let's get this going. Sasa dropped by again a week later, and I just happened to be cleaning Mion's room at the time. I secretly pumped my fists, feeling luckier than someone finding a bag of gold in the urinal. Mion rested her hand on Sasa's lap, smiling as Sasa waved the bells on her wrist to produce a melody. I would consider bearing the cursed site for a day if it meant I could swap places with Mion. For now, I pretended to wash this wall for the 15th time in the past hour. It keeps growing, the wall. It might turn into glass. I wanted to spit at the wall just so I could have an excuse to wipe it again and stay in Sasa's presence. This dude, man. He's basically fallen for Sasa. It's like, I'm a little kid. Oh, I don't even think we know how old Sasa is. I mean, anime characters, it's hard to judge. They could be anywhere from, she could be 13 for all we know, to 20-something. It's one of the things, you can't judge an anime character based upon what they look like. Most of the time. There are a few times you can, especially if there's if you can judge them against other characters. But it's like it's one of the things. Anime characters, they're just wrong characters. Of course, there's some. I've noticed some aspects, especially male characters, where it's easier to tell if they're older. Usually male characters, it's a lot more easier to tell than female characters. Female characters are hard to tell. Just like the concept of, is this a guy or a girl sometimes? Look what I got you, by the way. Sasa pulled out a bell from the bag sitting beside her. The jewelry adorning this bell glittered under the lantern's glow. Mion rose to her knees and accepted the bell. After giving Sasa a hug, she waved the bell and listened to it jingle. We really don't know their relationship. I mean, they seem to be pretty friendly to each other. Are they related? Are they just friends? We really have no idea. Sasa turned to me with a smug face. And that's how you win a girl's heart. Oh, damn. I think she likes to tease people. My pulse raced every time Sasa spoke to me. I rambled off a response to hide my nervousness. Right. Cool bell. Sasa and Mion shook their heads, as to say boys would never understand. Mion then said to me, "You were supposed to be washing the dishes half an hour ago." Look at her face. Mion, the only thing you can really see when she does any sort of motion is just her mouth and her cheeks. Because you can't tell it from her eyes. Because they're covered up, of course. Dear Mion, thank you for exposing me and making my face redder than those apples I always collect for you. Want to try and keep Sasa to yourself? Way to keep Sasa to yourself. Do they sell these bells in town? Mion asked Sasa. Yes, and all kinds of other things. Should check it out sometimes, Sasa said. Mion lowered her head. King Lok would never allow it. Now I knew why I had never seen Mion leave the temple. Even I was allowed out for shopping once a week. Let's sneak out together, Sasa said. Mion squeezed her dress. We'll get in trouble if we get caught. Just for half an hour, Sasa winked. If you fear the consequences, you'll never get anything done. I can look out for guards or something. As soon as those words left my mouth, I regretted them. Sure, I wanted to impress Sasa, but not if I had to sign my will in the process. Sasa knitted her brows. That's sweet, guy, but I've refused to get you in trouble. Just leave it to me. Oh, okay, cool. I knew not what to say. Sasa's words reminded me that I was a mere slave, as if I had the right to make any calls. Hey, wanna go water the plants for me? Sasa asked. With me. Mainly making my heart thump. Oh, I could see it now. She and I would reach for a water spray at the same time, causing our fingers to touch. In time, our love would blossom just like the flowers we watered. Damn, man, this little kid, man. He is really, for someone who was like, I don't really get girls or really care. But now he's like, this girl, he's entranced with her. And I don't think he hides it that well. Sasa is asking me, Mion said. Oh. With her lips curled like a slice of watermelon, Mion grabbed Sasa's hand and dragged her out of the room. I guess Sasa was referring to those plants in the main hall. She should have known she was the one watering them. No way could it have been some guard singing to himself as he sprinkled the petals with the spray. The image made me want to throw up. I think he's implying there that they didn't get watered by the guards peeing on them. But, oh, Sasa, never before had I met a maiden with such a pure heart. Let me dream up some poems about her while I went to wash the dishes. That night, a fellow servant bullied me into doing his groceries. I dashed across Melody Way, bumping into more villagers than I could count. One of them threatened to hit me, but I claimed to be this king's favorite servant and he left me be. None of that mattered now. I needed to know how Sasa and Mion's mission turned out. Neither of them have appeared on Melody Way. I took that as a bad sign and prayed I had simply failed to spot them among the crowd. Still, I at least should have been able to hear their ringing bells as they walked by. Right now, I could only hear that drunk guy in the corner, yabbering about his premonition of East and West Tarya going to war. Yes, I bought some pears and checked off the last item on my shopping list. The grocery lady said I needed a shower. All this running did leave me drenched in sweat, but whatever. Probably stink too. I ran back to the temple, only taking short breaks when my lungs threatened to explode. His lungs are gonna explode. Back in the temple at last. After sparing a moment to catch my breath, I dumped off my groceries and trotted straight to Mion's room. Just as I was about to knock on the door, I heard voices coming from inside. This is why I was against it. The doors muffled Mion's words, but I could still hear her erratic breathing. What's going to happen to you? Oh no, did they get caught? I've known King Locke for many years. He'll be okay, Sasa said, as I heard Mion's sniffles. I felt as if someone was pinching my heart with tweezers. The guards must have caught Mion and Sasa in their act. I should have helped, even if it meant displacing Sasa. Instead, I obsessed over how I could impress her by obeying her every word. Well played, guy. I reached for the doors, but guilt caused me to pull back. Mion would hate to have me see her cry anyway. The memory of Locke passing on the death sentence had given me several nightmares of myself on the guillotine. Now, Sasa must answer to the king. The possibilities almost made me forget how to breathe. Oh. Oh my. Switch with me, I said to the servant who had assigned to the king's chamber. The servant murmured something about following the rules. I dug my nails into his shoulder and leaned in close enough to touch her nose. Sasa's in the king's room, King Locke right now. If anything happens to her on your watch, I swear I don't know what I'll do. Oh, okay, let's swap then. The servant's eyes started to water. Only then did I realize I had been shaking her. Once I let go, she handed me her broom and shuffled off. Damn it, I had better go and apologize to her later. A sleepless guy had always been too grumpy for even his own liking. After slapping my cheeks to wake myself up, I headed into the throne room. Sasa sat on her knees before Locke, who, as always, remained hidden behind his curtain. Perhaps this separation was what allowed him to issue those death sentences so heartlessly. Or maybe he just had no heart at all. could be possible. I insisted on taking Mion outside. The blame lies solely with me, Sasa said, her head lowered at the undeserving king. Despite her predicament, not once did she stumble on her words. That was the Sasa I knew and loved. You're no need to defend Mion, Luxe. I've never bring harm to our nation's mightiest tool. A tool, he said. I squeezed my hands against the broom, twitching as several splinters dug into my flesh. Mion sensed joy whenever Sasa paid a visit, then loneliness after she left. A tool could never comprehend such feelings. Sasa, you two are of good use to me. I guess they're rather fond of your performances. Locke grunted. I'll let things slide this time. But your next blunder shall be your last. Know that you are replaceable like the rest. Locke, you made the right choice, I thought, but my shaking knees reminded me of my helplessness. If the king ordered for Sasa's beheading and I tried to interfere, he might force me to pull the guillotine lever just for the laughs. And then he might cut your head off, man. I mean, you're probably the most replaceable. You are pretty young. I mean, it's not like you got a strong back and other things like that. The only thing you probably have is plenty of energy. After bowing at the king, Sasa rose and spun to leave the room. Her eyes met, but she exited without saying a word. To Locke's knowledge, Sasa and I had nothing to do with each other. Probably best for things to stay that way. Yeah, that's pretty much true. I mean, you guys really don't... Not like you're friends or anything, you just have made some glances and you just so happen to be there off and on. And you like her. And I think she probably can tell. Yeah, in my opinion, he doesn't really hide it that well. For the first time, I stood alone in the chamber with Locke. Though he said nothing to me, I still felt my palms sweating up. I swept the carpet as fast as I could, praying Locke would afford me no attention. My king, nothing beat a nap under the morning sun. Why not give it a try rather than wasting your royal saliva talking to the likes of me? With my cleaning done, I managed to escape the chamber unscathed. Sasa stood in the corridor with her back pressed against the wall. She had both hands cupped over her chest, finally betraying a hint of her anxiety. The sight of Sasa flustered made me frown in disappointment. Nothing ever seemed to stir Sasa, and I hoped for this image of her to remain untainted. I wanted to punch myself for having such a selfish wish. I mean, why wouldn't she be scared, man? I mean, compared to him, that king seems to have, you know, he's a king. He has like ultimate power. Basically, anyone would do what he wants, and if you make him mad, you just like off with your head, and no one will give a shit. But at least if you're a tool, you're a good enough tool for him. He's not gonna kill you. You'll get away with some, but you keep angering him, off with your head as well. But I guess he finds Sasa a good enough entertainer that killing her would not be worthwhile, at least at the moment. Doesn't mean he would continue to be forgiving. When Sasa noticed me, she smiled half-tucked for my sake. She bent down to stretch my cheek. Yet right now, in my eyes, she looked as small as a kitten. I imagined she might cry alone in her room later, but I lacked the courage to speak up about it. Tell Mion I'm okay, Sasa said, still smiling. And how about you? Really? I'm fine, silly. There's no need to look so pale. Now that she mentioned it, my cheeks did feel cold. An outsider like me ended up being more scared than someone directly involved. This must be the difference between a kid and an adult. You're amazing, I blurted out and immediately blushed. Sasa patted my head. Why would you think that? You always know how to act, and you never say the wrong thing. That is the furthest from the truth, Sasa chuckled. But her soft tone told me she was hiding something. Whatever it was, I sensed asking would be like crashing a wagon into a brick wall, and I would rather keep our relationship dent-free. And you don't want to, if you really like her, man, and you really want to get closer to her, you're going to have to learn those secrets and the other side of her, not the perfect side of her, because no one is perfect. Once you do find out those things, it's just going to hurt more. You just got to accept it. No, there's no such thing as a perfect person. Always going to be something that's, on the negative side for someone. Sasa no doubt had questions for me as well. Every servant had a dark past to hide, yet Sasa never forced it out of me. I still had so much to learn from her. Well, why would she want to force it out of you? If the conversation ever comes, I wouldn't go asking, what is your dark past? Unless, someone asked me first, and I decided to answer. Or if something came up in a conversation that led to that. I wouldn't outright just ask someone their private life that much. If only you could rule his nation, Sasa. I'm sick of serving a king like that, I said. Sasa tapped a finger over my lips. Watch your words when you're in the temple. And that's right, man. Even inside your thoughts, you've had some, things that maybe you shouldn't be saying or thinking. You should just, know your place, man. I mean, I know that you do not like the king and you don't like this situation you're in, but you can think those things, but control yourself, man. Don't do what you did to Mion and call someone off, because you don't know anything about them, fat and all this other stuff that you said. You're just going to get... The wrong thing's gonna happen. I nodded and Sasa lowered her lip. People are more complex than you think, Guy. King Lonks once had a kindred heart. I imagined Loke helping elderlies across the street and feeding food to the poor. That seemed about as likely as Mion offering me praise for my work. When I first started performing, I played in clubs that paid me with bronze. Some nothing at all, Sasa said. King Loke discovered and hired me into the temple. I'll always be grateful for that. So basically, she's saying that even though King Loke isn't the best guy out there, he basically allowed her to live better by, her actually getting paid and for performing and all the other stuff. And so she's having a better life, even though, it's probably not working for the best person. Gotta get by sometimes. Are you sure we're talking about the same king? He's been through more than you might think. Never try and read another person's mind. Sasa bumped her forehead against mine. Let it go, Kai. Enjoy being a kid while you're still one. Sasa extended her hand. I coiled my fingers around hers, and she let me hold her hand all the way up to the temple entrance. Wow, dude, you got to hold her hand. I don't think she thinks of you as anything other than, maybe like a little brother. Because your age difference might be actually pretty big. You are still a kid, man, and she's probably closer to a grown-up, if not one, actually, than you are. Sasa's hand felt cold, even by Eastern Tarian standards. Luck must have drained all the warmth out of her. I squeezed her fingers in hopes of warming her touch. And she beamed at me in return. Though Sasa had told me to enjoy childhood, I wished I could transform into an adult tomorrow. Being surrounded by all these grown-ups made me feel about as useful as that shattered lantern by the wall. I asked for 3 apples, not 2, Mion shook her head. Is your head empty? Mion usually spoke to me with zero emotion, but tonight she graced me with an ounce of anger in her tone. With Sasa in the room, maybe Mion wanted to impress her with the perfect ritual. I balled my hands into fists. If Mion was a boy, I would have already punched her, or him, or whatever. Sasa darted her eyes between Mion and I, wearing a pained expression like she had just swallowed sour candy. Dude, man, you know your position. I don't know what originally was asked for. Did she ask for more apples than you gave her, or not? That's the question. If you failed, and she asked for more, man up to it, that you just messed up and just go get the other freaking apple. No reason to get mad, man. I don't tell you the truth, I don't really like this main character. I think he's kind of one of the... and I can't really blame him too much. He is a little kid, after all. And he really doesn't know better. He doesn't know that, you know, hey, you don't have to get mad at stupid shit. Just do it. It'll make your life so much easier. You won't stress about it. All that other stuff. But him, man, I don't really like him. Seems like a little kid that, you know, if he wasn't a little kid and he was actually a little older, I'll frickin' punch him myself. Enough was enough. Yep, Mion pressed on. These are our sacred fruits gifted to the goddesses. My ritual will be ruined if they become angered. I'm the one who's become angered. The words wormed out of my gritted teeth. Sasa stroked my back, but I eased her hand away. You think you're so special just because you have some powers. This is why everyone calls you a monster. Damn, man. I don't know who's at fault here, really. I mean, he's getting angry at nothing. I mean, she might be angry. Him. But I also think getting angry back when it is your job as a servant to go get the thing. It's really not that difficult. Just go get the damn apple. Get the freaking apple, man. Mion threw one of those sacred apples at my face. I nearly invaded the fruit, which splattered against the wall. Now you gotta get another one, man. Mion hurled a banana at me next. Yeah, man, she's throwing shit at you. This time, the fruit smacked me square on the forehead. At least it's only a banana. It's not as bad as the apple. If I hurt Mion, luck would have my head. But my rage had blocked out the fear. I picked up a pear and prepared to show Mion how to really throw something. Stop it at once, both of you, Sasa said. Mion and I froze still. This little kid doesn't know his place, man. Does not. Sasa pierced into my heart with her gaze. Put down that pear. Sasa never had to put on any scary faces. Her smile disappeared. That was frightening enough. Her stern tone reminded me she was an adult, while Mion and I were children. I lowered the pear as told. Mion bit her lip and lowered her chin. Sasa's mood shift must have startled her as well. Compared to facing Loki, my fight with Mion should have been a trivial matter. Why Sasa would overreact with my this way left me baffled. I don't know why you would consider her overreacting. She's just telling you to frickin' stop, man. You clearly are a little kid that don't know junk. She just wants you to frickin' stop because you're fighting over nothing. Literally, that you're fighting over nothing just because you consider Mion, you know, spoiled. Yes, you can kind of consider that, but you are a servant after all. That is your position. That is your place in this world, whether you like it or not. And your life will not get any better if you continue to be a frickin' dick in your position and not doing what you're being told. Whether you really did what she was asked to begin with, we haven't known, so we don't know that part. But I really don't like this main character. Hopefully he starts to grow up a little. Guy, with that single word from Sasa, I straightened my back and listened. Mion's a girl, not a monster. A man should handle things more calmly. That's what I'm thinking, man. You gotta just man up. Don't act like a little freaking whiny dude who can't put up with anything. She just asked you to go do something. You know your position. Position is a slave. Slash servant. You're a slave servant. It's your position. Whether you like it or not, that is your position. You want your life easier. You can... Maybe at some point, if you get to know her, just maybe things will get fixed. But right now, your position is slave servant. Do the slave servant job. My only goal in this temple was to impress Sasa. Yet now I had done the exact opposite. I closed my eyes for a moment to fight back the surging tears. And he's gonna cry. Definitely a kid. Sasa's face. Sasa faced Mion next. If you want to be treated nicely, you must be nice to others first. Have you even bothered to even address Guy by name? Sorry, Sasa, Mion murmured. Her shaking voice told me she must be holding back tears as well. Seeing her this way made me forgive all of her crimes. This is why girls really annoyed me sometimes. Sasa grabbed my wrist and forced me to hold hands with Mion. Wow. That marked the first time I ever had physical contact with her. I never noticed before that her hand was almost small enough to fit in my palm. Realization made her seem so much less terrifying. I don't think you really have to be that scared of her. The only reason someone calls her a monster is because of her eyes. I don't think realistically she's a monster. I mean, she's kind of in a different position than you are. Of course she has more, because she's more important than you. But for the most part, she is, like, ownership as well from the king. She is, like, owned by the king. The king treats her like property as well. The difference is, she's more important property than you are, so she can get away with more. So I don't think your positions are too different. You don't have as much freedoms, both of you. Mion's skin gave off such warmth, too. No monster, tool, or treasure could possibly do the same. These floating thoughts made my ears turn red. Oh no, he's basically blushing a little bit. Maybe they'll get to... Maybe they won't be as... All four of them, all three of them, I mean, not four of them, three of them holding hands. No. Sasa held Mion's hand. They did the same with me. The three of us now sat with fingers interlocked, forming a triangle around the room. Sasa closed her eyes and began to speak. Time passes faster than you might think, so please, cherish every moment you spend with one another. I'll agree with her that time does pass faster. I mean, I think about every day that goes by. It's like, damn, man, that day went by. It's like when you think back when you were a kid, it's like, damn, it's like when I was a kid in elementary school and even when I was in high school, it's like, man, the years, you know, it seemed like went by slower. When you get older, time just seems to go, boom. Next thing you know, a year goes by, a couple years. You look back and it's like, damn, man. That's what I think sometimes, especially when I think about how many years ago I graduated from high school. It's like, oh, has it been that long? And then how many years ago when I was at college? Oh, has it been that long? Or how many years ago you did this thing? It's like, was it really that long ago? Man. Neil and I managed small nods. They're pulling us both into her embrace. Sasa's usual smile returned. Her shoulders slumped as the tension eased away at least. I should head back. It's getting quite late, Sasa said. As always, I rose to escort her out. The walk we shared might be brief, but I look forward them more than any other activity in this temple. As Sasa stepped out the door, Mion whispered, Sorry, Sasa. Please come back again, okay? Sasa walked back to pull Mion's cheeks and lift them into a smile. He and I then left the room for good. As Sasa and I strolled along the courtyard, my brain scrambled for words that would break the silence. You never failed to amaze me. Sasa glanced over her shoulder to give me a wink. Have you fallen for me? He has, man. He's fallen for you quite a long time. And I think you probably have already gotten that idea. You've already probably noticed. I mean, the way he looks at you, I think it's probably quite obvious. And of course, I think this is her just teasing to try to get the answer outright from him. No, I retorted, and Sasa burst into laughter. My stutter gave the truth away. A grown-up like Sasa must have already memorized every trick in my children's book. I don't think that little stutter probably wasn't the only thing that gave it away. It was probably well before that. She probably already had the idea. Sasa stopped chuckling and spoke. Too bad for us. I'm married with children. Damn, are you? Wow. You have kids? So she must be a lot older than we think. That's what I mean. Never judge an anime character by the way they look. She turned her head away from me. A widow, to be exact. Wow. Wow, man. That is actually unexpected. I did not expect her to actually was married and had kids. No wonder she probably, treats the two the way they do and can get along so well with them, because in a way, they are both kids. I don't know how old her kid is, if it's still alive, because she says she's a widow. Or if her husband was still alive. Well, that would be, if she's a widow, that means her husband's dead. I stopped on my tracks, as if the air before me had formed into a wall. Sasa spent time with a brat like Mion, then went home and looked after her children all alone? I doubted I would ever possess that strength, no matter how old I got. Still, I must have earned enough of Sasa's trust for her to tell me about herself. I resisted the urge to smile over that. As for our potential romance, it's stunk that my chances just dropped from 0% to negative 100. Now, you can't really go in the negatives, man. That would just mean, basically, well, if you consider it into the negatives, that would basically be she hates you. I don't think that is. I don't think there was ever really a chance of romance. Maybe friends, but I don't think there was ever a chance. I mean, your age difference is probably a good amount. Well, I guess, hey, this is a time frame. It does mean she is younger. I mean, in different societies, different cultures, I should say, some do get married at younger ages. So, and you can have a child when you're probably 16 and shit like that pretty easily. Probably even younger than that. I mean, you got to think of when your reproduction starts. It might not be as good for a young girl to get pregnant, but it's not impossible. And it's not impossible that they would get married too, depending on the culture. So you never know. She might not be as old as we think. We're as young. Sasa leaped behind me and pushed my back to spur me forward. This is why you and Mio need to pair up already. Whoa! Wow, are you trying to be like the love doctor here? You'd be like, you two, you get together. Wow, I didn't expect that. Of course, look at that face. She could be just joking. Sometimes I have it. It's hard to tell if she's really serious. I just have a feeling that it's hard to tell if she's serious with this or just messing around. We arrived at the temple entrance, safe not by the bell, but rather the gates. Good night, Sasa. The next day, I stepped out of the temple for my grocery duties. The one chore I looked forward to every month. Each time I came out, I considered running for good and joining those homeless children stealing on the streets. Doing so, however, would mean no more of Sasa's hugs and face pinches. And well, okay. I also might miss those 1 in a million cases when Mion did something cute. As I strolled along Melody Way, I noticed the lanterns that lined the streets. These lanterns came in all kinds of colors and patterns. One of them featured a bikini-wearing girl who looked a bit like Sasa. I stared for a little too long and almost crashed into a lamppost. After returning to the temple, I asked a servant what those lanterns were about. Oh, that's the Lantern Festival. It's on tomorrow night, I think, the servant said. Huh, not that it has anything to do with us. Yeah, he was certainly right about that. Later that day, I visited Mion's room to wash the windows. When I walked in, Mion turned to see who it was. But once our eyes met, she turned her head right back. Neither of us had spoken a word to one another since our fight. Oh, wait. Mion never spoke to me, unless she needed to tell me off anyway. Call me crazy, but I would rather be reprimanded than suffocate in this silence. Despite what Sasa had said, I refused to be the first to speak. It was I who took a banana to the head, so I had no reason to apologize. As I began to wipe the windows with a towel, Mion put her hands onto the railing and stared at the garden. She probably just wanted to avoid me, but one other possibility crossed my mind. Could it be that she knew of the Lantern Festival and wanted to go? I think that might be the case. I mean, it seems like she's not allowed to leave, and she probably wants to, enjoy her life a little. I mean, she's basically a prisoner to this place. I don't think she has it as good as you think, man. I mean, she probably gets a lot what she wants and needs because of her importance, but she doesn't have the freedom to do what she wants. Forget the festival. To Mion, going outside in a thunderstorm during a bandit raid would still be a dream come true. Just how long has she been locked inside this temple? I wanted to ask her, then remembered she and I were at war. Oh, I kept complaining about being useless so far. I had done nothing to change the situation. Sasa did say Locke once had a kind heart, so maybe I could try a little something. Oh guy, you little fool. The next morning, inside the throne room, I dropped onto my hands and knees before Locke. Please, let Mion attend the Lantern Festival. I swear to take all responsibility. Damn, man, I had a feeling that he was going to do this when he mentioned before that he was going to actually go, but I really didn't expect it. The little kid has some guts. He does have some guts. The moment I said those words, I wished I could jam them all back down my throat like a jar of cookies. Go on, tell the king it was opposite day. Locke exhaled from behind the curtain. That single sound almost knocked my heart up into my brain, causing more words to come spilling out. Mion seems tired lately, so it might affect her rituals, and I figured some time off would do her good. Locke remained silent for a long time. I must have left my mind in my bed, because even I had no idea what I just said. Maybe I should repeat myself, but that might seem insulting to the king. Never should I have come here, Guy. If she loses a hair, it's your head, Locke said. Crap. He said something about my head. You had a good run, Guy. Goodbye, cruel world. I think he might be giving you permission, man. I think that was basically permission. He basically gave you permission, but you're probably going to have to go with her. And if anything happens to her, you're basically dead. Basically, that's what it is. Your life's on the line. You will go out, but it's your responsibility, I think is what he might be implying here. I think he's saying yes. As you said, he might not be as bad as you might think, but he's still, no, I wouldn't say the best. I don't know. Well, we don't really know how bad of a character. You gotta think of kings. That woman before did try to kill, Mion. So, a king would definitely probably go, yeah, off with your head, type of thing. You just tried to kill her. You got to think of older days. They don't like throw you in the cellar type of thing, throw you in prison. Probably would end up dying there anyways. No, hold on. Did you mean to say that Mion was allowed to go? My heart might burst like a balloon if he kept poking at it like this. That's what I'm thinking he's saying. I mean, he hasn't outright said it yet, but basically those words have, in my opinion, are implying that yes, but you're going to be responsible. Yes, of course. I'm grateful for your kindness. I rose and stumbled out, almost tripping over my own foot in the process. As soon as I exited the room, I hid behind a wall and slid on my backside. Guy, yes you, listen, never do such a stupid thing again. I had enough sweat on my brows to fill a mug. I'm surprised he even listened to you, man. Just a prisoner. Not prisoner, I mean, a slave, servant. You must have got him in a good enough mood, and he must have been like, okay, I will let this happen, but if anything happens to her, you're going to die. Your life's on the line. As I ran my shaking hands over my face, I realized I was grinning. Time to see what Sasa and Mion had to say about this. You did what? Sasa clasped her hands around mine. I tilted my head so high that I might have well be staring at the roof. As the self-proclaimed servant of the year, I explained how I talked my way into receiving the king's consent. You're a genius, guy. Sasa leaned in and kissed me on the forehead. Crap. Was it still sweaty from before? I forgot to give it a good thorough wipe. Oh, whatever. Kill me now if you must, folks. I lived a good life. She just gave you a little kiss, man. Sasa picked up Mion by the armpits and swung her around. Did you hear that? You're going to the festival. Mion said nothing, but as Sasa put her down, I caught her flashing a smile. It only lasted for a moment, yet somewhere within, it stirred me more than even Sasa's kiss. You're coming too, right, Sasa? Mion asked. Sasa stroked her chin and put on a cheeky smile. Am I going to get in your two's way, Mion? I'll understand if you want to go alone with Guy. Oh, I like this girl. She seems to be someone who likes to tease people. She seems to be a girl that likes to tease. No. That's honestly. Mion tugged Sasa's wrist, making the bells on her arm jiggle. Come with us, Sasa, please. Oh, alright, you spoiled little angel. Sasa pressed her forehead against Mion's. Their eyes were close enough to touch, separated only by Mion's veil. And she's like, I'm not gonna lie, she is pretty much, how much she hangs around with Mion and everything. That veil is the only thing in their way of her and basically death. So it's like, man, she's like, every time they hang out, she's basically, just because I don't know how well that veil's there, and if anything actually goes the wrong way, or a breeze comes through, I don't know how heavy it is, or any of that stuff. Boom, and their eyes meet, dead. Well, I guess, she wouldn't die right away. Die that week, is what they said earlier, that they would die within the week, or a week, or whatever. Mion could kill everyone in this temple just by brushing off her hat, yet Sasa never showed fear for the cursed sight. I wish I could steal some of her strength. She had more than enough for one person, anyway. If my parents, the two people I trusted most, had not betrayed me, maybe I could have shown Mion more faith. When she smiled, I wanted to hug her, but most of the time, I dared not poke her with a broom. Really, you wanted to hug her? You must not hate her that much, if you actually had the feeling that when she smiled, you wanted to hug her. I don't think that's really hate there. I think it's just maybe you guys really aren't on the best foot, but don't hate her. Even though maybe you guys don't always have the best relationship, arguing without stupid stuff. Sasa put both hands on her hips. Mion, there's something you forgot to say. Oh yeah, you forgot to say thank you to Guy. He went there. He didn't have to either. And he noticed something about you. He was actually paying attention and noticed and thought about you. Mion pouted and let out a whining noise. Sasa pouted right back to tell her there was no getting out of this one. Aw, she blushed a little bit. Mion lowered her head, and in the smallest voice she muttered, Thank you, Guy. Remember what I said about wanting to hug Mion sometimes? Really? Just sometimes. Okay, I think that's actually a good place where we can end it off. So, it looks like Guy and Mion might actually be getting a little bit closer, and they might not be as angry. I still really don't like Guy as much. He comes off as, well, a very, childish, which I guess he is a kid, and he doesn't have a lot of understanding. I don't really like him as much as the main character, but I would like to see what the relationship, with this slave and Mion, and of course more about Sasa. What this whole relationship and where's the ending goal of this whole thing? Is it going to be like Mion leaving and actually getting her freedom or something? I mean, realistically, she could just take off that veil and kill everyone if she wanted to, but I don't think she wants to do that. Well, I want to thank you guys for watching this video. feel free to leave a comment in the comment section if you have anything you want to say. If you like the video, feel free to leave a thumbs up if you like it. You can subscribe if you want to keep up to date on these videos and more. In the description box, I'll have a link to this game, as well as a link to where you can check out more of my stuff. And guys, I want to thank you for watching this, and you all have a great day.